is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some Astrobot. And before I talk about the main topic of my video on Resident Evil 9 and when it might possibly show up, I do want to give props to Astrobot. I absolutely love this game, and I didn't think it was honestly going to take home the Game of the Year award in general with all the stiff competition, but somehow, some way, this little bot found a way to make it happen. So much props to the Team Asobi for making this. And guys, if you have not played Astrobot, I highly recommend it. It's just a fun, chill game, especially if you are a person who has been around the PlayStation brand since the beginning. You'll see a lot of familiar faces you may have not seen for a while, including this one, which I was hoping they'd finally put in the game, and they did, was Gex. Gex Enter the Gecko. I remember playing these games as a kid on a PS1. Fun platformers. I hope Sony can make more platformers because they used to make a lot of them, but these games are so much more rare nowadays. But enough about Astrobot. I definitely recommend playing if you have it. Let's get into the main topic of this whole video. So, a lot of people, after the Game Awards were done, were sitting there, especially on, I guess, my side of the fandom that I cover a lot of Resident Evil content, and they were asking, oh my god, where's Resident Evil 9? And a lot of it turned into pure rage and anger, because if you know one thing about the Resident Evil fandom, it does not take much to piss them off. And they were getting mad that, Capcom was actually bringing back some of their old franchise, which shocked me. In fact, they brought back Onimusha, which I believe has a release date at 2026, and Okami 2, a sequel to that, which didn't have quite a release date, but two classic franchises from beloved games that people loved. And granted, it wasn't my personal favorite, even though I would love to hear Dino Crisis come back. It wasn't one of my personal favorites, but you don't hear me losing my crap over it. I'm happy to see these other two franchises come back for the first time in decades. But unfortunately, if you know anything about the Resident Evil fandom, they get their butthurt moments, and if everything isn't about them, well, it's going to be kind of like how Leon here. You just get run over by a freight train, and that's the fandom running you over. And guys, you got to relax, okay? First thing is this, okay? You guys have been spoiled rotten in Resident Evil games in the past 7 years. I mean, with the exception of games that come out yearly, like a Call of Duty or a Madden, Resident Evil is not supposed to be like that, okay? Since 2017, since the RE engine, has been upon us, we had Resident Evil, and I'm just talking about major releases, not like spin-offs or stuff like that. We had Resident Evil 7 in 2017. We had a year off 2018. We had Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019. We had Resident Evil 3 Remake in 2020. We had Resident Evil Village in 2021. 2022, we had a year off. 2023, we had Resident Evil 4 Remake. In 2024, we had a year off. Now we go over to 2025. And, hearing that from a big-time game franchise, having that many major titles released in that span of time, I mean, how can you be mad? I mean, is it a problem that other franchises just want, I don't know, one game to come out in the last 2 decades for them? Like, how is that a bad thing? I don't know why you guys get so enraged when, oh my god, they don't show something every single daggone year. But you know what? You might have to get used to not seeing it possibly for more than just a year, because I'm going to lay down my personal opinion on the possibility of when Resident Evil 9 will even be revealed, let alone when it even comes out, because it might be longer than a lot of people are willing to hope. And I've heard a lot of people say, hey, this could be a terrible time. And guys, listen, there's tons of other video games out there. If your only thing is you're playing Resident Evil, my advice to you is find something else to play, because you might have to wait a little bit. So, first off, I don't have any insider information or stuff like that. It's just me using context clues and common sense to come to this. So, when might we see Resident Evil 9? When might it be first revealed? So, I didn't think it was going to be at the Game Awards. I was not shocked by it. I would have been shocked if it did. And the reason why is simple, because unlike Resident Evil fans, but they don't want to admit, there are other franchises in Capcom. And one of the biggest ones that's right behind it is Monster Hunter. And I do believe with the rate Monster Hunter games have been selling, I think eventually they're going to overtake Resident Evil in sales. I mean, that's how well they've been doing. But right now, they're in second place for the whole company in terms of franchise sales as a whole. But it's a big release nonetheless. So they got one of the games, I think, coming out early next year. So it wouldn't make any sense to have a game like that and then have another major game have trailers and promotion beforehand. They want everything tuned into Monster Hunter. They want all their audience and fans looking at Monster Hunter. So having a major trailer like Resident Evil 9 come out right before Monster Hunter just doesn't make too much sense. So if they were going to show anything, it was going to be, after Monster Hunter its release, and if they even do more things with Monster Hunter, because it could do something similar to what they did with Resident Evil 4, where they have DLC come out later in that year, so they might have something more. So that whole 2025 might be just dedicated to Monster Hunter. Not to saying that you won't get any type of reveal or announcement in 2025, but it gets to my next point is, I don't think Resident Evil 9 is going to come out next year. I know it seems like a long way from now, but guys, we may be looking at a situation where the soonest it comes out might be a 3-year gap between the last Resident Evil. And also, keep in mind this, and I want to state this very specifically, we don't even know if Resident Evil 9 is going to be the next title. We just assume it, but it could be a remake for all we know, but we really don't have 100% something. We don't even know who's going to be in it, for goodness sakes. We know nothing. We just go by what people on the internet say, so people can say a lot of things, but my point being is that if it is to be Resident Evil 9 or a remake or whatever, it might be a 3-year gap between when Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I believe came out in March of 2023, until the next one. Because typically, Resident Evil games, not all of them, but a lot of them come out that early part of the year. That beginning part of the year. They've been doing that lately a lot. Resident Evil 4 came out in March. I think Resident Evil 2 came out in January of 2019. I believe Resident Evil 7 came out in January. And I may be wrong one of these. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I think Resident Evil 3 came out in the beginning of April. Something on those months or something like that. Village, I think, is the one that was in the middle of the year, I do recall. But a lot of them, for the most part, they come out in the early part of the year. Not all of them, but a good portion of them do. In the last 7 years altogether, if you want to count all of them. But my point being, I don't see a Resident Evil title. It doesn't look likely that it's going to come out next year. Now, they could possibly change it up and be like, hey, we'll release one at the end of the year or something like that. I don't think it's going to be in the middle of the year. No, just, not that early. But I just, honestly, here's how I look at it. I feel like they'll show something in 2025, but it'll probably be more towards either the middle of 2025 or the end of 2025, where they'll show like a trailer or some sort. And then the game gets a release in 2026. But guys, once again, I'm just using my speculation and knowledge. There's a possibility, because here's another thing you have to take into account, that it might even be further along than that, because we've heard, as I said, what a lot of people have been saying, it's the most ambitious title. We always have to take all this with a grain of salt, but it is the most ambitious title. It's been the longest in development. And also, Capcom wants this to be a game, a brand new game. They've been saying they want Resident Evil 9 to be a game that ultimately is highly critically reviewed. And what I mean by that is, like, Village and 7, while they were successful, they weren't, I guess, critically successful the way Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake were. They want a game that reviews like that, but a brand new one, not just a remake. So they may be taking their time. There may be possibly some, a lot of delays or some internal, not trouble. I don't want to give the presumption that, hey, there's problems, but they may be really trying to make sure this thing is as good as it possibly can be, and they want to take as much time as possible. So I guess what I'm trying to prepare you guys and ease the pain is just accepting the fact that we might not see this game, let alone when it actually comes out to release, for many years now. And I know that may be a hard reality pill you have to swallow, but it's just going to make it easier, because we've been so spoiled rotten and getting Resident Evil just about every single year, it seems like. Well, this is where there's going to be that gap. Now, I guarantee after this gap, you'll probably go back to that similarity, because you're going to have all the remakes they're making. But at the end of the day, my best advice for you guys is to just find something else to play. I mean, listen, I love Resident Evil as much as the next person, but I'm not going to lose my mind over and just only play Resident Evil. If I did that, then it get redundant and tired after a while. I have, break it up, break up the monotony, have a variety, play different games, play something else. I mean, it's going to be a little while. I mean, is it possible it could possibly come out 2025? Yeah, but not very likely. And, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me, but I just feel like 2026 at the earliest, with the way it's going, looking at all the other releases, that may be the most logical and realistic release window. But as I always like to say, that's my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. When do you feel like Resident Evil 9, if that is to be believed, the next mainline Resident Evil title will be released? When do you think it will be? Will it be next year? Will it be 2026? Or will it be later? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. And hopefully I can see you guys back in the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.